I'm Maria Menounos, and you're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz begin. Okay.
Hey, 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 what's going on, beautiful people? Welcome to the God Friended Me after show coronavirus version. We are still wanting to give you guys the best conversation about some of the shows you love the most. Most of us are really binging and catching up on shows we love because we got some time at home. So, what a better way to get together on our favorite after show, God Friended Me. I am your favorite Afro Latina, Franceli, here with you. And of course, we got my bestie, who's also a woman of just loving God on all different types of ways and different views. And that's why we love talking about it. My girl Mina's here.
Hey guys, thanks Franceli. This feels so weird to not be with you in person, but I still love that I can still see you and talk to you.
I know, I'm so excited. And we're so excited that we still got like our usuals in the chat hanging out with us. What did you guys think about tonight's episode in the chat? And you, Mina, what did you feel about tonight's episode?
You know what I loved about it was this is the first time that we kind of see multiple friend requests where it's not just one, it's not just two, it's three. And we kind of see like Rakesh dealing with his own friend request in his own way. And then we see Miles, partnering up with Allie and doing it in his own way. And I really love that. I felt like it was a little different flavor than what we're normally used to seeing. And I thought that it made it, you know, a lot more engaging in that sense. I
Yeah,
like that they like switched it up a bit.
yeah, for sure. I mean, here's the thing with me. I love the number three. For me, as a believer, the number three represents the Trinity, the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. So I really believe that God speaks to you in threes. Like you get multiple confirmations. And they always say third time's a charm. Like there's all these phrases around the number three that I really
Mhm.
appreciated. So yeah, me too. I really appreciated it tonight. It was the lucky number three. I really, and I just loved that there was a lot of different action and you thought it was about one thing, but it was really about something else. Like they said, we thought this whole episode, once we found out who the friend request was, or all the friend requests were, and how they're all connected to this beautiful theater in Harlem, we think it's about saving the theater, but it's really about saving the family. So let's get right into it. How about
Yeah.
let's
Yeah.
bring it back to bring it back. We find, we at the top of the episode, Miles and his sister Allie get back together because last time we've seen they were in an awkward place about her sickness, and so they decide to go on a date and get things together. And Miles sort of thinks that maybe her dating right now is not such a good idea, but that kind of changes. So tell me what you think about that, about how like sometimes I feel like people will project like I feel like Allie was kind of on the fence about this decision. Should she or should she not date? And I feel like she was, I don't know about you, but that she was kind of expecting Miles to say, no, you should date her. It's like
Yeah.
almost seek out other people's confirmation to make a decision or not.
Yeah.
But people still sway or project their own perspective on you because Miles definitely, I feel, pushed his perspective because him and Kara aren't dating and pushed that on her. Thoughts
Mhm.
on that?
I actually felt that he, kind of pushed her to date Emily, because I feel like, I kind of feel the opposite. I feel like in last week's episode, we kind of saw him like reluctantly tell Emily to leave. And I always felt like watching Miles's performance, like he was kind of like, ugh, like this isn't coming from me. Like we just have to give Allie her space and like give her her own agency. That's something that I respect though. Like I feel like sometimes we try to make people's decisions for them and I like that, they kind of respect Allie's agency. They're like she can make her own decisions even if they disagree with it. But I love that he still took the liberty of bringing Emily back in at the end of everything because I think deep down he knew how much Allie liked Emily. Like he knew that there was something there and like some people might consider that overstepping boundaries, but I feel that Miles and Allie are so close where he could do something like that and really like read her. It almost feels like they're twins and have some sort of like telepathy going on. So I love that he just took the liberty of being like, you know what? I'm gonna bring her. It's no big deal. Just to kind of see like how things would play out. And I don't know. I've been a fan of Emily from the very beginning, and I really hope she sticks around.
Yeah, me too. I do love the between Ali and Miles. I really do love that. Yeah, I mean, but I feel like at the beginning, yeah, he was kind of like, yeah, it's okay, don't push it, you don't have to date her. And then over the episode, obviously that changed and he took it
Yeah.
upon himself to do something different. I love the arc of that because it's so important to like sometimes take a pause on what you feel and look at the totality of it instead of just your perspective, which also happened with Miles. I mean,
Right.
Miles' dad, Arthur Finer. That happened on this episode. Let's talk about Arthur's arc this episode of like seeing something one way about the decision of what to cut and what not to cut, especially with someone who he's had like a cantankerous kind of situation with. And then, Lord and behold, they found some, middle ground. What did you think about what happened tonight between the two men of God?
I was actually very impressed with that because I think it also let us see more insight into, I don't want to call him Reverend Finer's arch nemesis, but kind of like humanize him in a way where we never really realized what he had gone through or what his background was, and like just finding out that his son had lost his way, had gone to jail. There really aren't a lot of opportunities when you don't have a work history, when you've been in jail at a certain age and you come out and that's on your record. It's a permanent record. I love that he kind of brought that to light. And the fact that Reverend Finer was able to do something for this guy that never had his back in the beginning really shows that Reverend Finer is the person who like really thinks about the content and the issues at hand and the stories and the meanings and the messages, and takes like his personal experience out of it. I feel like he's not the kind of person who will be like, well, this person wronged me, so I'm not going to do this for them. I feel like he's very much like, let's think about this. And like, he really practices forgiveness and open mindedness. And we'll get into a tweet he said, the actor actually said later on today in our like special gems segment. But I don't know. I like that. Like, I like that he kind of took himself out of the equation and did what he thought was the right thing.
Yeah, for sure. You know, what I love about this show is that it really shows that we can't just talk the talk, we also have to walk the walk. And
Right.
especially if you are in leadership when it comes to any form of faith, it's there's really a microscope on you about how you really walk out this thing you say you believe in. And not saying that we're going to be perfect or that we're going to always operate in that way, but really just the attempt, the trying of like really meeting people, like you said, with forgiveness, with grace and mercy. And it was just beautifully done, and self-sacrifice. Like Arthur had to sacrifice something that meant a lot to him in order to really extend an olive branch to someone else, to show them that, I mean, honestly, like what he said in that scene was so powerful. Shout outs to the God Friend and Me writers who write really great content, but just saying, hey, I know we haven't always been on a good footing, but this is one step in the right direction. And sometimes that's what it takes. Like sometimes I apologize for things that I technically don't need to apologize for, or that I did anything wrong. But if that apology is going to help us get to a middle ground and help bring some sort of peace to move forward, the bigger picture, again, in this episode, the bigger picture is more important. The moving forward, doing things in that way is way more important than just this one little thing here in front of me. So I'm glad he got to see the bigger picture.
Mm-hmm.
And then let's get right into it. Like the four amigos for this episode,
Yeah.
Ali, Miles, Cara, and Rakesh, all hands on deck for this one to
Yeah.
really get down to like what these three friend requests were about. And we found out some really great gems. Film school, woman with a record, and a missing ring. How they all connected each other. Let's talk about the arc of the actual friend requests tonight. What did you think about what this film place really meant? I mean, I love that it tied in that like Ali and Miles grew up there and like
Yeah.
they used to go there all the time, but the synergy between like the three of them and the three of them, like tell me your thoughts on all that.
So I love how it started out with the name, with the friend request being Maltese Falcon, and that being like a place that they need to visit or whatever. Like it started out with that, then they go and they realize, okay, this is a really sentimental place. And it just shows like what that place means for them and their upbringing and also the community, and the fact that there are people living there, and the fact that this is a place where all these people have come together and it's more than just a movie theater. um I genuinely loved all of that. uh, and also just I'm trying to read the chat right now because I do want to like shout out the people who are in the chat, including Ivan Soto, who's been very active on here, Adrian Diaz, and we have Rugby 3230 and 60 STO 80 S2. I just want to shout you guys out as well. And like ask you guys what you think about like the meaningfulness of this movie theater, because I saw it as something where it's like you really felt the sense of community there, like, and that's important because how many jobs do you go into where you're just like, let me clock in and clock out, and like I don't care, like you don't try to like get to know your coworkers or your colleagues. But this truly did feel like a family, not just a clock in clock out situation. And it's a place that like brings people together. The movies brings people together as is, and this place especially.
Yeah, I love going to the movies. So much so that I tried to go to the movies the other night and they said it was sold out, but it wasn't really sold out. They only sold
Yeah,
half the house because no one can sit next to each other because of
right.
what's happening in the world right now.
They're only allowed to sell like 50% capacity, which I think is crazy, but I'm so glad that they're doing that.
Yeah.
They're gonna lose a lot of money, but I feel like all businesses are being affected by coronavirus right now.
There's a lot going on out there, guys. But I just say one of the things that I love about this show, whether you believe or not, it's really about like holding on to hope. We talked about that like last week on last episode,
Yeah.
hope. And so I just really pray that everyone out there who's stuck at home or starting to get cabin fever or feels anxiety or whatever you're feeling about what's going on there, to really watch things that inspire you, that keep you hopeful, that keep you happy, joyful. That is what the movies is about, right? People take
Mhm.
an hour and a half to 2, sometimes 3 hours when you're into the Star Wars and the DC world. You take that time to kind of like escape for a little bit. And so thanks for escaping with us tonight and being on the after show and talking all things God friended me. Make sure that you hit like and the subscribe button. If you're listening to us on the podcast, give us 5 stars, rate us, tell us everything that you're feeling about why you love tuning into us. And I want to make sure that you guys are staying tuned. And thank you for always making us the ESPN of TV talk.
Seriously, guys, and we love like the interaction in the chat right now. I'm trying to like manage both the conversation and also looking at the chat, so it gets a little crazy if I'm not reading your guys' comments. Um, but yeah, Ivan is saying like the episode was just fine. It wasn't really emotionally heavy or any like seriousness with the mystery of the God account.
Mhm.
I kind of do agree with that, Ivan. I think that we've kind of strayed away from the mystery of the God account, and I think the reason for that is because the God account isn't what's important in the sense of like who's behind it. Yeah, obviously I'm interested in knowing who's behind it, but we find out that even if like say we didn't know who was behind the God account, it's still facilitating all these amazing and beautiful interactions with human beings, and they're going on this mission to help people. So even if we don't know who's behind it, good things are still being done because of it. So whether it's God, whether it's an algorithm, whether it's a person behind it, I don't really think that's the point of the show in season 2. I think season 1 focused a lot about that, but I think in season 2 we've kind of progressed away from that. And I, at this point, wouldn't really care if we never find out who's behind the God account. Like I wouldn't care,
Woo!
which is crazy because that's all I was obsessed over season 1. And then when you say that it wasn't really emotionally heavy, um, I think it was like kind of emotional, but usually I cry like pretty
Yeah,
much every episode. I think
don't
this is
want
the
to
first.
hit you over the head. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Right, right. I feel like this episode, I didn't have like a crazy emotional reaction, and it wasn't super emotional. It felt like there was this really like, happy ending and everything just kind of worked out. And it didn't do that for me either. So I totally agree with you on this one. I feel like this is the one time that we're really like in sync opinion wise. But thank you for sharing.
Yeah, for sure. And I just feel like because Adrian had asked, what do we feel was the life lesson for today's episode? Because it's interesting. Yeah, they always leave us with like a nugget and stuff like that. And it goes back to what I said at the beginning of tonight's after show is that it's not always about what we think it's about. It's about something else. And a lot of times we as humans will focus on the main problem. The main problem was we have to save this theater. How I'm gonna help him get into film school, but that didn't work out. I'm gonna help get the ring, but the ring got bought. Like there was all these immediate things that we thought we had to do in order to fix the main problem, but it was really about community and family and how do you fix the things that are happening in family? Because, like she said, families fight, and when they do, it's not if conflict arises, it's when. And when conflict arises, how do we handle that
Mhm.
together in love, grace, mercy, and forgiveness? And so that's what I really believe tonight's life lesson was about tonight's show, that like how do we still, in the face of conflict and in the face of not seeing eye to eye on things, or when people hurt you or people betray you, because again, Elias hurt Arthur and said some really derogatory things about his children, you know, but still meeting people with grace, love, mercy, and forgiveness despite
Mhm.
that. I really
I
think
love that. I
tonight.
also want to quickly say, like, bringing it back to Maltese Falcon, I think it's so interesting that they chose this movie in particular. This is a movie from 1941. For those of you who don't know the synopsis of Maltese Falcon, it says in this noir classic, Detective Sam Spade gets more than he bargained for when he takes a case brought to him by a beautiful but secretive woman. As soon as Miss Wonderly shows up, trouble follows as Sam's partner is murdered and Sam is accosted by a man demanding he locate a valuable statuette. Sam, entangled in a dangerous web of crime and intrigue, soon realizes he must find the one thing they all seem to want, the bejeweled Maltese Falcon.
Mm,
And I think that's so interesting because this whole episode, like, we're just like, okay, where's the ring? Where's the ring? And it's a ruby ring and it's super rare and everybody wants to know where this ring is because it's the one thing that can save the theater. I thought
yeah.
it was so interesting that they bring in this movie and the writers know that this is no, they're not just randomly throwing it in there. They know that like this is what the movie's about and that's why they're bringing it in. And I just thought that that was like an interesting tidbit, like how the movie The Maltese Falcon, like this is also meta. It's mirroring what is going on in this episode. Loved it.
Loved it. Well, I want to go. Do we have any good news tonight?
We don't have news tonight, but I know we can move on to our special
Special
segment if you'd
segment.
like.
Yes. We can
Yeah.
talk. We can talk all things. Our special segment, which usually we have our beautiful music, but it's God Speaks, where
Yes.
Mina and I talk to you guys on how God has spoken to us this week and some of the things that we're hearing and feeling, and then also join in on the conversation. Tell us how God has spoken to you this week. So, Mina, what did God say to you this week?
Of course. Thanks, Franceli. And every single week, I feel like this is basically the Joe Morton show at this point for this segment. But he tweeted, connectivity is very much a part of what God Friended Me is all about. These times more than ever illustrate how connected we are and how important it is to empathize with the flaws of others without judgment. So
Mhm.
when he first wrote this and I first read it, the last part where he's like how important it is to empathize with the flaws of others without judgment,
Mhm.
I that really did not resonate with me because I was like, oh, like I don't want to excuse bad behavior. I don't think we should ever justify bad behavior. If someone is a terrible person or if they have bad actions, like why would I ever empathize with that or say that that's okay? Like I have my standards and I have what I think is okay and not okay. And I think boundaries are important. And I just kept thinking, no, this is ridiculous. I don't agree with it. And then it's so crazy. I was like thinking about everything because I had just, finished this program called Landmark where you sit with a bunch of people and you have breakthroughs and you listen to people's stories. And the whole premise of the program is to listen to other people without judgment and how powerful sharing is. And oftentimes, the times we have breakthroughs is when we're listening to other people's stories and trying to be as impartial as possible and just be open minded. That doesn't mean we have to say what they did in their past was okay or not okay. It's just coming to things with an open mind and realizing that good and bad are constructs that we have come up with and
Mhm.
that like we like to say that they're so clearly defined, but oftentimes there are gray areas to things. And I loved how Joe Morton was like, we're so connected, we really need to have empathy for other people because we do. Like even in this episode, like we see that this lady decides to steal the ring and that she already has a criminal history. So we could easily look at that person and think, oh my God, this person is terrible. Like, of course
Right.
they would steal it. They have a criminal record. Why wouldn't they? And just like kind of categorize them as like, oh no, no, these are the bad people of society. But then we hear her story and we realize at the end of the episode that she is willing to turn herself in and go to jail just to save the theater and just to redeem herself for what she has done. That's not a bad person. That's someone who is trying to find a way and trying to rectify their wrongs. And it's so easy to just like categorize someone as like, no, 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 we don't want you, or like, this is bad. But I think it's important to have an open mind. And that Joe Morton tweet illustrated that perfectly. I could go on and on forever, but now, like in the wake of coronavirus as well, like we still are very connected, even if we can't touch each other, even if we can't feel each other or like see each other face to face. We have our screens, and right now I'm talking to you, Franceli, and it's so cool that technology has allowed us to do this. So thanks for letting me share.
Yeah, thank you, Mina. Like for sure, there's a difference between bad choices and bad people.
Mhm.
I do want to say how God's spoken to me this week because of everything that's happening in the world. All I keep hearing is what you said. Empathy is the word, and really just compassion. Because what I realize is there's some people who are like being super extra careful and going to the store and buying things at the bulk, and other people feel that that's ridiculous, and other people feel like God's got me. I don't got to worry about no corona. I'm not getting no disease. I don't need to go through all of that. Everyone has had a different position, and there are
Mhm.
people who are quick to say your position is wrong, to think God and Jesus are the only thing you need, and you don't need hand sanitizer. and there are other people who are like, I need all that hand sanitizer. I don't care about God.
Yeah.
Just honoring where people are, and wherever they are, and as long as they're doing what's best for them, but doing it in a way that still is in honor, love, forgiveness, grace. Like as long as what you're doing and how you're doing it isn't being disrespectful or dishonorable to anyone else, who am I to say that the way you're preparing or the way that you're viewing or how you're going about trying to handle what feels like we can't get a handle on? Who am I to tell you that that's a wrong way of viewing or operating? So I just say, guys, however you're dealing with what's going on out there,
Mhm.
just continue to operate in love and in honor. We love and honor you guys for constantly tuning in with us every week. We'll be on here in this way until, we can get back into the studio. So I
Yeah.
just want to say again, thank you for always checking in with us, being live with us. I am, your favorite Afro Latina. I'm Franceli. You can follow me at all the things at Selly Hangout. And of course, your favorite minister in training. Mina, tell everyone know how folks can stay tuned in with
Yes.
you.
I will do that in just a second. I really want to quickly shout out Adrian Diaz in the chat, who just said, this is off topic, but how can I build confidence to connect with others? That's an excellent question. We will answer you in the live chat, like through typing and through text, because we do have to wrap up. But thanks so much for your question and for tuning in. You guys can follow me on Instagram, on Twitter, and now most recently on TikTok at Mina Makes Magic. And that's where you can ask whatever questions you have for me on there, and I'll answer them in my stories or tweets or whatever. So thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys. We love you. We'll see y'all next week.
We love you. Bye. Thanks, Franceli.
Our founder, Keven Undergaro, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.